Okay, I'm joined by Justin Bird. Now, want to know the pro coming off a huge win in his debut last weekend after a 9-2 amateur career. And if you don't know the name, you probably know him by the finish he scored last weekend at LFA 152. Um, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm a little beat up, as you can see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You mentioned to me the other day that you just had surgery. What was up with you?
So, um, I'll turn this light on. But yeah, like the first punch he threw in the fight broke my face. And then of course I broke my arm on the knockout.
Yeah. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, which I can't believe there's many of those, but just talk us through what happened 3 minutes into that first round.
So, he was really evasive, which is, great, but I couldn't really figure out his range. So I was kind of just like kind of trying to maneuver, you know, around and see if I needed to counter fight or if I needed to just like I just decided I figured I just need to go off his movement and that that last one exchange was I didn't know I was gonna knock him out with it, but I knew I thought I would rock him with it, and because I rocked him with a check hook earlier in the fight, so I was like, okay, so I can rock him. That's good. So with this one, I was like, either the kick's gonna rock him or the spinning back fist's gonna rock him, but one of them's gonna rock him. And if not, like worst case scenario, he blocks both and I knock him off balance and I can take him down. And that's kind of what I was thinking was I was like, if I can just get him against the cage, then he'll have to either block or eat it. And you know, I didn't think he was gonna dodge my kick like that, but like I said, I had a backup plan that spinning back fist. So I figured worst case scenario, I knock him off balance and then double leg right to the ground where I felt like I was gonna do pretty well there too. So it just ended up working out tremendously in my favor.
Yeah. So that's obviously something you like, something you practice, throwing that spinning back fist after the kick, right?
It's funny is I don't really throw that a lot. We were drilling it in the back, so I guess it was just fresh on the brain, but we didn't drill it after any kicks or anything. We were just like kind of like getting familiar with elbows, spinning back fist, stuff like that. Like just throwing them into pad sessions, trying to get like, movement going.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, as you mentioned, it worked out perfectly for you. Was it the back fist that was he going down after the back fist? Because it kind of looked like you caught him with a short little shot after the back fist as well.
So I actually that was actually a shove. If you look back at the video, I actually just shoved him
Oh,
because
okay.
hit him with the back fist, and then I was just pushing him to create distance, and I was coming in to finish, but I like he was gone, so I was like, okay, I don't I don't need a ref to pull me off of him.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously it was your pro debut. How was that experience for you? Obviously on like a big show like LFA as well.
Oh man, it was awesome. Like I was really excited that they were willing to put me on a card and feature the prelim for a debut. Um, it was scary. I mean, like I was in the back freaking out just like anybody. This is probably the first fight in like a little over a year that I actually got nervous for. Everyone, it's funny. My teammate and I are like opposites because he fought right after me. Um, he So normally he's in the back freaking out. He always wins his fights. I always win my fights. But he's usually in the back freaking out, and I'm always in the back like hyped up. Like I'm like, come on, man! Like you know, we train harder than this. Like this isn't gonna be any. This is 9 minutes. We train for hours a night. Like I'm usually in the back talking him up and everything. And this time, like he like was like, dude, I'm so tired of being nervous. He's like, I just want to get this over with. This, I hate this. Like, let's just go out there and win these fights so we can go celebrate and all this stuff. And I'm like in the back, like, oh my god, it's like I don't want to get knocked out on TV.
Yeah, but obviously you had a great amateur record. You got a lot of finishes as an amateur, so I guess that's why they decided to put you straight in that spot, right?
Yeah, no, they like, and then like I said, my team has a pretty good relationship with LFA because like that same teammate, he took a like fight on 2 days notice for them in the amateurs a while back, so they were kind of like they're willing to help us, put us on stuff if we're willing to help them here and there.
Yeah. Obviously you'd been fighting as an amateur since 2018. Why was this the right time to go pro, do you feel like?
Um, so we were gonna possibly do one more pro fight, but or one more amateur fight, but it was just like I'm to a point now where like it was just really hard to get amateur fights. We had to fly out to New York to get a fight at one point. Um, and that's great and all, but like I just didn't feel like we didn't feel like I feel like I kind of found my niche in the amateurs, and there wasn't any like more steps up in competition in amateurs. You know what I mean? So like, not to say there aren't great amateurs out there, but like for example, one fight we got offered a guy who was 12-0. I mean, I won't say his name or nothing, but we got offered a fight who was 12-0, and I don't know his reasoning, but he didn't want to fight. He didn't take the fight. He had just fought like a month prior to that, so that could have been it too. I'm not going to imply that he was scared or anything, but like those are the guys I need to be fighting now to get better. Like the 12-0 guys, the 13-0 guys, whatever. That I need to be fighting more experienced guys, and I can't like wait on their timelines. You know what I mean? So for him, he had just fought. He didn't feel like fighting. I think he had told the promoter he'd fight in February. Well, this was back in like September or, October, November or something. And I was like, I'm not waiting that long to fight one guy. I just can't. And so we kind of realized that guys like that are far and few between in the amateurs, and so if I want to start moving forward in my career, I have to take the next step and go pro. So we kind of did what we did in the amateurs. We took 2, 3 more fights, and all three of them kind of went the same. And you know, I'm fighting guys with like 4 and 5 fights, and that's the best I could get around here. And it was just kind of time. We're like, okay, we could find that 1 or 2 guys that have a lot of fights, but then we got to wait on their timeline. And so it was better to just make that step up. And now we can fight whoever, whenever, whenever I'm healed.
Yeah.
And, and we can just start building our pro career now.
Yeah, you mentioned it there, so I'll touch on it now. How soon do you think you're looking to get back in there? Obviously, we see the arm all covered up. How soon, how long is that recovery going to be? How soon is kind of in your mind for trying to get back in there?
I really, really want to fight again this year. I would hate to be the guy that came on the scene and, made such a big splash and then doesn't fight again for the rest of the year. So I'm hoping it'll probably be in the fall, like
Yeah.
August, September, unfortunately. But I'm not gonna rush the healing process because I had 2 surgeries in 1 week, so I'm gonna let those heal. But yeah, hopefully I'm hoping like maybe September or October ish,
Yeah.
and then we'll just see kind of because I gotta I'm gonna have to I'm gonna try as soon as they clear me to start working out. I'm gonna like do what I can, whether that's just muscular training or maybe like power walking, whatever. I'm gonna try to keep the maintenance as tighten as possible so that whenever I do come back, I'm not like, you know, 30, 40 pounds overweight, having to like rebuild from scratch. But I am excited to get back in the ring. I'm definitely super excited to go out there and do it again for whoever against whoever. So yeah, I'm just probably like I think they said 6 months for my face and 4 months for my arm.
Mm.
But that's doctors saying the worst case scenario. So we'll see what happens. Could be sooner, could be a little bit later. But I would like to try to get back in there before the end of the year.
What's the damage to the face? Because from here it just looks like a little bit of swelling underneath and like the eyes kind of closed a bit. Where did he catch you with? What was it?
It was that overhand right at the beginning of
Yeah.
the
Okay.
fight. I kind of had my jab hand a little low, and he just went right over the top. It just clocked me. He broke my cheekbone
Ah, okay.
and pushed it in. So like it was funny when it happened. I remember like all the vision in my left eye went out, and
Mm.
like my face was vibrating. And all I could think was like, this is it. I'm gonna get knocked out in my pro debut in under a minute. And all I could think was like, I just need to keep him away from me. It was right before I threw a switch kick at him in the
Mm.
face. Right before that, he hit me, and I threw the switch kick because I was like, I got to keep him away from me because if he flicks me right now, I'm going out.
Mm.
But yeah, apparently it fractured my cheekbone. So they put a metal plate in there, and then
Mm.
they put a metal plate in my arm. So
Yeah.
I'm all bionic now.
Okay. You mentioned then when you're coming back, you for who? Does that mean you're not tied down with LFA long term? Was it just a one fight deal?
Yeah, no, it was a one fight deal. I'm definitely open to the idea of talking about contracts with LFA for sure. My coach wants us to do no contracts for like 3 or 4 fights, so that we like you said, we aren't tied down. We can fight as often as we want.
Yeah.
Um, but we're we're always open to discussions and negotiations. But yeah, that was just a one fight deal.
And keeping your options open. Obviously, Bellator do a lot of shows out in Thackerville, so that's obviously quite close to you, right?
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, I would go to Fackman to
Yeah.
fight in Bellator.
Yeah. Um, yeah, for anyone who like maybe doesn't know, this is the first time they're seeing you, just saw the clip of that finish. Talk a little bit about your background coming into the sport. How did you find MMA? And then like how it got you to this position you're at now.
Okay. Yeah, so what's funny is I got bullied like I feel like every MMA fighter got bullied as a kid. But I wrestled as a kid, and I remember the first time I ever stood up for myself. I guy was picking on my friend for being fat, and I told him to leave him alone, and then he turned to me and started trying to fight me, and I just double legged him and got him to the ground, and that was like I got like a thrill out of it. I got like a rush out of it, and then I think in middle school I just started getting in fights with everybody, and it was always like bullies. Oh, it was always bullies. I was always trying to stop. I had like a hero complex. You get to a point you get bullied for 5, 6 years, and then you realize you have this rush for fighting, and then you just want to save everybody
Mm.
because you know that they won't save themselves, and so um,
So is that where the
I was
nickname comes from?
yeah yeah no yeah I got the nickname. I actually got the nickname when I started fighting, but yeah no actually I got the nickname back in either 2017 or 2018 when the floods were happening in Texas,
Mm.
Hurricane Harvey. I went down there with a group of veterans known as the Barracks of Muskogee, and we went down there to to just help out. And there was a point where our boat got we lost our engine, I think, and we were basically just a levee broke and we were being rushed under a highway. And I grabbed onto a tree and I like pulled the tree from with one hand here, and I pulled the tree, and then I pulled the
Mm.
boat with the other hand. And one of the veterans there had said that I looked like Captain America pulling the helicopter and something else, and so they started calling me Captain America after that. Um, and yeah, and then in MMA it just kind of grew from there. But yeah, no, I got bullied, and then I did wrestling, and I loved wrestling, and I always loved MMA. My dad and I used to watch John Jones, and that was like our guy because John Jones grew up where my dad grew up, same neighborhood, and so we used to watch him, and that's kind of how that's kind of how we've been like we would like hang out is we would just watch the UFC fights and then hold on, there I am. And then I got into martial arts. I did karate as a kid. I did taekwondo. Um, but I wrestled for 10 years and then I did a little bit of Muay Thai when I was 17. And then I started really getting into Muay Thai when I was like in my 20s, early 20s.
Yeah, so you've really done a bit of everything then.
Oh yeah,
Like
definitely like
before, like turning, like before, like you knew that you wanted this to be the career. You kind of done it, had everything done prior to that.
yes, yeah, exactly. Like I started competing when I by the time I had been doing the martial arts in general, by the time I had been doing martial arts and like combat sports for like 10, 15 years was when I was like, oh my, like I could make money doing this, you know.
Yeah, you mentioned John Jones there. You excited for the return next month?
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Like heavyweight. I actually met the guy once. He was really cool in person. I know that everyone he's doesn't have the best track record, and I'm not gonna give my full opinion on everything, but I can say that when I met him in person, he was super humble and super cool and super nice. And of course, as a fan, as a fight fan, like I love watching him. So
Yeah. How do you think he's going to look at heavyweight? Because Garn is such a tough matchup after so long out.
I have no idea. I could, he always shuts down doubters. Like it feels like every time he'll take 2, 3 years off, and everyone's like, ring rust is going to get him, and then it doesn't. Just the guy's a phenomenon. I think he'll beat Cyril Gahn. I just saw a article recently about Cyril Gahn saying that he only trains during fight camps, and so that kind of came off as like a red flag to me. Like, oh, I don't think even Cyril Gahn is like. I think he's already coming up with like not excuses, but just like, well, if I lose, this is why. But we'll see. I mean, like you said, Cyril Gahn's a big man and he's got really clean Muay Thai, and but I just feel like John Jones has fought big men with really good striking, and then he somehow manages to beat them.
Yeah. I want to touch on the hurricane again really quickly, like you said, because I think everyone knows the story about Derek Lewis helping out there. But
Yeah.
yeah, obviously it's incredible that you did, and it's great that you're able to like kind of get that story out there because it's just a great thing to do. But how does something like that kind of put into perspective like MMA? It's a fight, but at the end of the day, it's just a job. You're getting paid to do it. How does, going out to help like in real world crisis kind of make you think about MMA essentially?
Well, like okay, what are you like? What are you asking about the like the significance of it? Like,
How does
how?
like does like going out and doing something like that change the way you think about MMA in the sense of like, you know, I'm here getting paid to fight, but the people who are like living through this, it's a different kind of fight.
Yeah. Um, the way I look at it, I don't know. I mean, like, so I'm actually in the National Guard.
Mm.
So I've done multiple, like, they call them SAD missions, state assisted deployment missions. Um, when COVID hit, I went to Oklahoma City and I helped with the state health department and the joint task force and getting like, um, COVID supplies out and stuff like that. Um, there was floods. I was there helping with the floods. Hurricane Harvey, it was more of an independent thing. I went out there, like I said, with some old veterans. But I mean, I always count my blessings when I see people, who are less fortunate. Being out in Hurricane Harvey and seeing people, it was like it just makes you think of like, like at least I get to go home and I don't have to fish in my front yard. I definitely, like I said, I definitely always try to count my blessings when I and reminded how fortunate I am. Um, in terms of like the fighting, I just view it as like I'm entertaining thousands of people. Um, and like guys like Caleb Jensen make that easy because he was seriously the most respectable, great guy I've ever talked to. He was nice before the fight. He was respectful during the fight. He was respectful after the fight. Not very atypical of an MMA fighter. Um, it makes the experience as a whole a lot more fun. Um, you go in there, you you get to fight. It's more of a contest, and you guys are like, let's go, let's see who's the better man here. And then after the fact, it's like, all right, you got the better of me. I'll shake your hand. And I've just been in so many fights and MMA fights where guys always try to play these mind games and they try to be like the Conor McGregors and they try to have like this mental edge and I just ignore it. Like it doesn't mess with me at all. But it is definitely more pleasant when they're not doing that. Um, and some people have this mentality of like, well, I don't want it to be pleasant for you, and that's fine. Like if you want to make it uncomfortable for both of us, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, I'm still going to get paid, and at the end of the day, everyone's still going to watch what they paid for. So I'm just happy that I can. I'm really happy that I get to do something that I can make money entertaining people like that is something like as a kid growing up you always wanted like you want to do it but you don't think about it. You don't think about like what are you going to do when I grow up? I'm going to go out and get punched in the face and make people happy watching that. Like nobody knows that they're going to do that. I always wanted to do stuff like that. I just didn't know it was an actual possibility.
Yeah. Obviously, with some of the stuff you just said, I think that Captain America is a very appropriate nickname for you. With the National Guard, with the Hurricane. Yeah. Obviously, you mentioned you're dealing with these injuries now. You're taking it like kind of one step at a time. But when you think about the future, say another year, another 2 years, what do you want it to look like? Obviously, as successful as possible. What do you envision?
I want to be fighting like 3 to 5 times a year, if not more. When I like, I actually, what's funny is these injuries is, I promise. So I have a nutritionist. His name's Coach TJ Whalen. He's on Instagram. Um, but he made me promise to take 3 months off after this fight. And I tell everybody, I'm kind of a religious guy, and I tell everybody, I'm like, God let me get this hurt because he knew I was going to take another fight. Like, and after all watching all like the viralness of the knockout and everything, I'm sure I would have gotten offered something, and yeah, I probably would have took it. But he's so tired of it because he's like, this is our third or fourth fight camp together in a few months, and he wants me to reset my metabolism and kind of like figure out what diet is going to work the best because we've done 3 or 4 weight cuts since August. So it's just been super active and I've enjoyed it, but like when I haven't been getting hurt, so it's like just on to the next. I fought twice in 1 month a while back. I literally fought in New York, and then 2 or 3 weeks later I fought in Oklahoma. So like I do need to take a little break here, but I plan to be a pretty active pro. I definitely don't want to be one of these guys only fighting once or twice. I'm trying to maintain a high level of activity. So
Yeah. That's awesome. I want to thank you for the time today, Justin. Just before we finish, just feel free to kind of shout out any sponsors and let people know where they can find you.
absolutely. So aesthetic meal preps are my people. They were running all my meal preps for this fight. Like I said, the Barracks and Muskogee, they actually sponsor me as well. They've been sponsoring me since my first amateur fight. When you almost die with a group of guys, they're pretty helpful when it comes to wanting to support you. Um, R3 Recovery, Hunter Bundy. Y'all gotta go, and that's in Tulsa. Hunter Bundy, he was my recovery guy for this fight, and he was an absolute lifesaver. My wonderful girlfriend Nylith Suarez, my parents, and of course Team Strike Martial Arts.
Yeah.
They're my shout outs. It's very important people, all of them.
Yeah, and let people know where they can find you on social media so they can hear about, so they can see the recovery, so they can hear about when you're going to be in the cage next.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look me up on what is it? cpt.america.mma.
I
Let
think
me
that's
see.
it. Yeah.
The dot or an underscore?
Mm,
We were just talking on there.
yeah. Underscore.
It's an underscore,
Yeah.
not dot.
CPT underscore America underscore MMA.
Thank you.
There you go.
CPT underscore America underscore MMA. Captain America MMA. Justin Budd on Facebook. I do have a Facebook fight page. I'm trying to kind of be more active. I'm on TikTok. If you just look me up, Justin Budd MMA, you're gonna find me.
People will
So
find it. Yeah.
yeah, Justin Budd MMA.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that knockout, I knew I wanted to interview you for the website. I found you easily enough, so
Yeah. Now I post a ton on everything, so there's enough traction on there. You just look me up, the algorithm will point you in the right direction.
yeah. Awesome. I want to thank you for the time today, Justin. Best of luck with the recovery, and I hope we can see you August, September, like you hope.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me.